Next up, we'll take you inside PEI's Blockchain Applied Research Center, which is working to overcome some of the most complex digital security questions faced by industry today. The center's research partner is Arizona State University. Together, we've already assembled some powerful industry partners, including Kudelski Security, Intel, Move Medical, Early Warning, and BD.
And I'm happy to introduce Wes Gullett, who will moderate our panel today. Wes wears many hats, including serving as Director of Operations for PEI's Applied Research Centers. He's also CEO of OH Communications and a well-respected leader in our community. We look forward to the discussion, Wes. Thanks.
Thanks, Grayson. It's great to be here today. We're very excited. Today we've got a panel of experts who are all helping make Arizona the hub for blockchain development. First of all, we have Scott Carlson, and Scott is the head of blockchain security at Kudelski Security, the premier advisor and cybersecurity innovator for today's most security conscious organizations. And he's also a member of the Arizona Blockchain Applied Research Center, as is Kudelski Security. Next, we have Dragan Boscovic. Dragan is our research director at PEI's Arizona Blockchain Applied Research Center. He's the founder and director of ASU's Blockchain Research Lab, technical director at ASU's Center for Assured and Scalable Data Engineering, and a research professor at ASU's School of Computing. He's also a distinguished visiting scholar at Stanford University's MediaX. And hopefully joining us will be State Representative Justin Wilmeth. And I've been texting with Representative Wilmeth, and he is still stuck on the floor. But I think he'll be joining us before the segment's up. And he Representative Wilmeth chaired the Arizona Legislature's Blockchain Study Committee. He is also the vice chairman of the Transportation Committee and serves on the Commerce and Health and Human Services Committee at the Arizona House of Representatives. And hopefully he'll pop in before we're finished here. But the good news is Dragan was also on that study committee, so he can answer some of the questions that we have for that. Thank you all for being here today. It's good to see you guys. Blockchain is a challenging thing to talk about because it's so complicated. So today we've got Scott Carlson, who's going to give us a little 101 discussion on blockchain so that we can level set this conversation. Scott, take it away.
Thanks, Wes. Appreciate being here today. So blockchain is tricky to talk about because it's a probably very large set of computer systems that all participate together to solve things in the way computers solve them, with programs and mathematics and encryption. The point of blockchain technology is to essentially remove the middleman from the conversation. Today, we rely on banks, information brokers, and such to sort of be this touch point for payments and information flow. And if we look at how to build a digital computer system to solve those problems without that intermediary middleman, the blockchain has to do things like, how do I know the information stays true with integrity? How do I know all the nodes have the same information all at the same time when I update it or query it? How do I know how the information can come and go and who has permission to it and if it's public or private? These are very challenging technical problems to solve. And as we look at what blockchain is, complex computers, we need to have centers like this, Wes, to study how we can solve this problem that blockchain is trying to solve.
Great, thanks, Scott, for that description of blockchain. Now we want to talk to our research director, Dragan Boscovic, to talk a little bit about Dragan, what's the challenge? Why is applied research important here? What's the advantage of doing applied research? And the Blockchain Center, the Arizona Blockchain Center, is one of the few applied research centers in the whole world. So tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Wes. And I think really applied is the key here, because I think if we are to look into innovation, it has two components. It has advanced research and has applied research. So we are focusing on applied within BARC. However, at the same time, we are very much focused also on advanced research with ASU. So having those two play hand in hand is the key for having innovation circle, as I call it, because you need to have new knowledge, and then you need to learn how to apply that new knowledge onto applied problems. So in that respect, we have BARC that is uniquely positioned to actually apply that new knowledge together with our industrial partners, because having spent 25 plus years in industry, I know how it is important to have that industrial view and also business view on what is really going to make impact. And just briefly building on what Scott said, if we are thinking of removing middlemen, then it is always also about what does it mean to my new business ecosystem. So blockchain is in that respect also very much about business innovation. It is not just technology, but it is also business.
Yeah, one of the projects that we're working on right now, Dragan, at the center is on inventory control management. And that's something that every business needs to use. And it's interesting how the blockchain, if we use the blockchain on inventory management controls, that can really help out all kinds of industry. Can you talk just a little bit about that for a second?
Yeah, I think it is just one of the projects that we have within the center. So if you think of supply chain and having physical goods that needs to move through that supply chain, right now we know very well that there is an issue on the global scale with that due to pandemic. So what we have is basically building digital twins of those physical products, and then being able through this distributed system of the computers to monitor all the contextual and also direct information that are very important to how that physical product move through the supply chain. So having ability to monitor and having ability to have information that we can trust, we can then easily engage into forecasting and planning. So that is one of the key components that we are getting information which we can trust and then we can use for all kinds of applications.
It sounds like it will be very helpful. Representative Wilmeth, welcome. Glad you got here. I know you're out of breath, so I was giving you a second to catch your breath. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. You chaired the blockchain study committee this past fall, and Dragan was on that committee. You guys were working on a lot of very interesting topics to keep Arizona in the forefront. And I think it's very insightful that the legislature is looking at this. Arizona is in an advanced position. We're a leader in fintech and we're a leader in blockchain work. So can you tell us a little bit about what you found working on the blockchain study committee this fall?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. And secondly, I guess my big takeaway from that committee, and it actually doesn't sunset until the end of this year. So we're hoping to do some more meetings later on this year. And there's not a lot of bills in this space this session, but we're hoping to build to more for next year. The biggest takeaway I had was Wyoming is leading the way in a lot of areas. And I'm a competitive guy, and I think that Arizona should be up there with Wyoming, if not besting them on stuff. And I know our two other panelists that have spoke to y'all about this topic know way more than me. I am just happy and proud to be in a position where I can help on the legislative side, find a way to get Arizona to that point. I'm a low regulation guy at my core, but this is a new frontier. And my mindset is how do we do this in such a way where we can, it's like paving a road. How can we pave the road and get us going in the right direction without having too many speed bumps along the way, right? So I learned a lot from all these experts on this committee, and I was floored and honored to have so many knowledgeable minds on that. And they're on notice that they're going to meet with me a couple more times later on this year to talk about some new aspects and some things we can do for 2023. The last thing I want to say as an intro is that Representative Jeff Weniger set me up with that bill for last year, and he's on his way out. He's running for another office and termed out here. So I've kind of been dubbed one of the guys that's going to lead the charge on the next generation of political leadership on this. And I'm by no means an expert, but I'm learning a lot all the time, and I'm very excited to be a part of it.
Well, you'll be pleased to know that the investments that you've made in blockchain on the applied research side are paving the way, because like I mentioned before, we are the Arizona Blockchain Applied Research Center is one of the only centers in the country that's working on how do we put together blockchain technology for business. And it's industry-led. Industry comes to us with challenges, and then we try and figure out how to address those challenges by using applied research and building products for the future. That's going to put us a little bit ahead of Wyoming. So that's one way we can keep ahead of them. And then on the regulatory side, the work that you're doing on these new ideas about how distributed technology works is really important. So we're very proud of you, and we want to make sure that we can do everything that we can in our power to assist you in that effort. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Well, it's literally part of the job. I'm glad I just get to be part of the team on this. And, you know, I'm always going to defer to the experts on this. I know some people over the years, they come down here and they think they have to know everything about everything. And that's not me. I want to keep learning so that I can do the right things the first time. And, you know, there's always that joke about we run a bill and then 2 or 3 years later, there's a cleanup bill because it's something that we didn't think about. I'd rather do it right the first time, because in this scope, in this area, we're not paving over old roads here. We're building new highways, and this is the next generation. And everybody talks about Bitcoin a lot, but the blockchain thing, the more I learn about it, is just absolutely the most exciting aspect for me. And, you know, when my friends ask me what this is about, I always try to tell people in a very conversational way, because we can get lost in the weeds. But I'm basically telling them, like, this is going to revolutionize our security with all of our documents, from health to education to everything else. So credit cards, there's so many things this is going to be used for. And I really don't think the average public understands that in a decade, we're going to look at stuff like this as common, like we look at Twitter now. Twitter started in 2008. And now every campaign, every politician, jokers like me, we all have a Twitter account. That wasn't a thing not too long ago. And that's what excites me about being part of this, is that we get to be at this beginning of this amazing new path that's going to really revolutionize our society in a lot of ways. Thank you again for your leadership. Now, Scott, you know, there's been a lot in the news lately. A lot of people are very nervous. Cyber attacks, things like that are happening. It seems like everybody's nervous about what our enemies might be doing. Can work on the blockchain and the work that you're doing in the cybersecurity, can it help protect us? Is the blockchain one of the things that can help when we're looking at the future of how this application will be used?
Yeah, so, you know, if you take apart that question a little bit, one of the things that the blockchain promises is that any data you put in stays the way you put it in. It has integrity forever. And some people use the term immutable. Some people just say integrity. And if it has integrity, you can trust it, right? Imagine a data repository that everybody can use that is always accurate. Like suddenly you transform mortgages and loans and people records and are you a citizen? Do you have this health thing? Can you pay? Like all this stuff is instant and real and has integrity because we've kept it current. What that also means is you can't tamper with it and the bad guy can't go mess it up, right? They can attack a central database today and change it because they got the administrative credentials. In a blockchain, there is no central place to change it all. There is no, way to mess the whole thing up. You have to pick a tiny piece and, maybe you compromise a person or a node or one tiny little piece of the data, but we would notice because the point of the blockchain is to be decentralized and keep track of those transactions that are made improperly. There's of course a lot to work out here, right? This blockchain has been around for 12 years, 13 years. It's been R&D'd for 20, but we've really been doing it for 5, 3, or 1, depending on how you count, right? There's very few real citizen impacting projects in place. And one of the things that our sandbox did here a few years ago is made it legal to go try this stuff. Because with a complicated technology like blockchain, you figure out if it would work, you build a POC, you make it legal to do it, and then you scale up and build a society around it, right? We have to do all those 4 pieces. And we're at the applied and the legal side. And if those go hand in hand, right, what we're seeing now is these things that are working themselves out, suddenly we will transform a part of government or a part of supply chain or a part of something like that, because we've done all this research, and Arizona will be the place with a digital supply chain, or the place with, you can buy a house in 1 day because we've figured all this out. Like, that's really cool to me.
Yeah, that is exciting. And to me, it seems like, none of us know how a Cisco switch works, but we know it's integral to the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think in 10 years, we're not going to know exactly how blockchain works, but distributed integrity in the system is going to be the background of the entire internet, and everything that we do is going to be on that system. And Dragan, you've been on the edge, the cutting edge of technology for years. You worked for Motorola, you worked at Google. You've seen how this stuff goes. Tell us a little bit about what you see in the future about blockchain.
Yeah, I think that is an excellent question, and I like to build on what we heard from Scott. So I think I perceive blockchain to be just a next wave of internet revolution. We might call that Web 3.0, but we also should then recalibrate ourselves what was 1 and 2. 1 was all about information sharing, and then Web 2 was all about how I interact with the content that is online, okay? With Web 3.0, it is all about data ownership. And I would stress the data ownership because now with 2.0, we do not have much, I would say, control over the data that we leave behind any time we browse or even here with these videos. Going forward, we would be able to have ability to control how the data traces that we generate and leave behind are used. We might like to donate them, we might like to monetize them, depends on the objectives of the application. But blockchain is going to give us all those tools that we need in order to basically control access to information and how information is used, how is data used. So within BARC, we have already started number of projects along those lines. So we are now starting to build a data marketplace, which would enable people to have access to those tools or the levers that will help them decide how the data is going to be used. Is it medical health records, or is it something more trivial? It is not important. Blockchain has those hooks in place that we need in order to control the access and the use of that data.
Great. Well, thank you all for participating today. Representative Wilmeth, thank you for your leadership on this. We want to continue to work with you on developing the policy infrastructure to go forward. This is a massive economic engine that we're talking about here today. And we're doing some really incredible work at the Arizona Applied Research Center for blockchain. And we want to continue to do that. So we really appreciate your support. Dragan, it's always good to be with you. Scott, keep us safe and make sure that we're all in a good place. So thank you all very much. And I'll turn it back over to Dean and Grace. We appreciate the opportunity to talk about blockchain here today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you, blockchain panelists. That's really exciting work. So fabulous overview. Thank you.